Hi folks, Larry Winget here, back with another episode of Ask Larry Winget Anything, the YouTube channel where you can just ask Larry Winget about anything in the world you want to know, and I'll give you my opinion about it. All you have to do is write me at info@larrywinget.com, and please keep your questions of general interest so more people can learn from what I have to say. All right, first question today. In the past, you've said you can tell a lot about a person by the way they spend their money, and you can tell what is important to them by how they shop. How about how they live, or how clean or dirty or organized or disorganized they are at home or in their hobbies? Let's say someone lives like a slob and it's clear that their home is a wreck and a disaster. Is that a good way to guess how they're going to be like to work for, to have them work for you? Or how about in their social life if it's full of chaos? Is that a good indicator that that will also follow them into their work life? Absolutely. Listen, if you're out of control in one area of your life, it's very likely you're out of control in other areas of your life. That's just the way it works. If you're overweight, chances are that being out of control in that area might make you out of control of another area. That's just the way it works. Is that always the case? No, it's not always the case. Everybody can come up with an exception. And don't give me any crap about, oh yeah, but Larry, I know a fat person who's got a lot of money and they're in control of their finances. Or I know somebody who absolutely is not in control of their finances and yet they keep a very clean house. Okay, good for you. There are exceptions to everything. The point is that in my history, I've discovered that people who were out of control in one area were typically out of control in other areas. I shot episodes of Big Spenders for several years, folks. Lots of episodes with lots of people in lots of different socioeconomic levels. Some didn't have a whole lot, some had a lot of money, and they were still broke. But the point was this: most of them who didn't have control of their finances, their house was also a disaster. The closets were a mess. Their cars were dirty, their house was dirty, most of them were overweight. They were just out of control. So I'm saying overall you can pretty much tell. And by the way, in terms of their social life being chaos, will that follow them to work? Why do you think so many employers are going on Facebook and following you on social media? They want to know if you're an idiot when you're not at work, because if you're an idiot when you're not at work, chances are you're going to be an idiot when you're at work. That's why they check your credit history. They want to know if you're out of control of your finances, how's that going to affect your work? It's going to affect your work. That's just the way life is. So if you're a mess in one area, get in control of that one area and just watch how it spills out into other areas of your life. All right, next. Larry, how do you feel about 15-year mortgages versus 30-year mortgages? Are you better off financing for 30 years and stick more money into investments, or finance for 15 years and pay your house off sooner? Which would you prefer and why? Well, it depends on what you can afford when you buy your house. If you want to finance for 15 years and if you can afford to make those payments, good for you. I'm all for you making as many payments at the highest level as you possibly can to get your house paid off as quickly as you possibly can. Sadly, that's not the way it works for most people. They borrow for 30 years, and that's fine. It's just because that's all they can afford. I've always bought my houses on 30-year mortgages, and then I accelerated the payments based on making higher principal payments, or you can do, sometimes it's just as little as making payments every 2 weeks, bi-weekly payments instead of monthly payments. Those extra 2 payments a year, it's amazing the amount, how fast you can pay off your mortgage by comparison to the traditional way of once a month. You'll be amazed at what that will do. Go online and figure out a mortgage calculator and prove it to yourself. The point is this: you do what you can afford to do. I always suggest that people, if they can possibly afford it, put a little more money toward the principal on their house payment and toward their car payments, anything that you can, any credit card, any credit that you have, make higher principal payments, specifying the payment that this is to go to principal, and watch how quickly you can get that paid off. When it comes to paying things off, though, remember, pay off those high-interest credit cards. High-interest credit card debt's always a bad debt. Mortgage debt, some will argue, is a good debt versus a bad debt. Depends on what the government does on making that a deduction or not. First of all, though, when you're financing a house, make sure that you have payments that you can afford to make. All right, that's all I got time for this week. I appreciate the questions. Again, write me at info@larrywinget.com. Thanks.